Let's kick off by setting up our digital workshop, Remix.eth, a powerful, browser-based integrated development environment or IDE, designed specifically for building, testing, and deploying Ethereum smart contracts. Remix.eth is widely used by developers around the world because it's accessible, user-friendly, and doesn't require any installation. All you need is a web browser and an internet connection, making it the perfect starting point for both beginners and experienced blockchain developers. To get started, open up your preferred web browser. Chrome and Firefox are both great choices for compatibility. In the address bar, type in the Remix.eth website URL. Once the page loads, you'll see the Remix homepage, which is your gateway to smart contract development. It's a good idea to bookmark this page for easy access in the future, since you'll likely return to it often as you build and test your projects. When you first arrive at the Remix interface, take a moment to get oriented. The workspace is divided into three main areas. On the left, you'll find the File Explorer, which is where you'll manage your project files. In the center is the Code Editor, where you'll write and edit your Solidity code. And on the right, you'll see the Deployment panel, which is used for compiling and deploying your contracts. Understanding these sections will help you navigate Remix efficiently as you work. Let's create your first smart contract file. In the File Explorer, look for the Paper Plus icon, which is the button to create a new file. Click it, and a prompt will appear asking you to name your file. For this tutorial, let's call it flashes.sol. Make sure to include the .sol extension at the end of your file name. This is very important as it tells Remix that this file contains Solidity code. If you forget the extension, Remix won't recognize your file as a smart contract, and you might run into issues later. The .sol extension is crucial for Solidity development. It not only helps Remix identify your file as a smart contract, but also enables syntax highlighting, error checking, and other helpful features in the code editor. Always double-check that your file names end with .sol before you start coding. Once you've created your new file, it will automatically open in the code editor at the center of the screen. This is where you'll write, edit, and review your smart contract code. You can either start typing your Solidity code from scratch or paste in code from another source. The editor provides helpful features like syntax highlighting, auto-completion, and error messages to make your development process smoother. Before you dive into coding, take a moment to familiarize yourself with the left sidebar. This sidebar is your main navigation tool in Remix. It contains several important tabs: the File Explorer for managing files, the Solidity compiler for compiling your contracts, and the Deployment panel for deploying and interacting with your contracts. Each tab serves a unique purpose and will be essential as you move through the development workflow. Click through these icons to get comfortable with the layout. Try opening and closing different panels to see what each one does. The more familiar you are with the interface, the easier it will be to find the tools and settings you need as you build and test your smart contracts. Next, let's look at the Solidity Compiler tab. This is where you'll compile your smart contract code before deploying it. It's important to check that the compiler version selected in Remix matches the version specified in your contract's Pragma statement. For example, if your contract uses Pragma Solidity Circumflex 0, 8.0, make sure the compiler version is set to 0.8x. Using the wrong version can lead to compatibility issues or unexpected errors. Ensuring the correct compiler version is selected is a key step in avoiding errors and ensuring your contract compiles and deploys smoothly. If you see any warnings or errors about version mismatches, update the compiler version in the drop-down to match your contract's requirements. With these steps complete, you're now ready to start writing, compiling, and deploying your own Ethereum smart contracts using Remix.eth. With Remix ready, it's time to get the smart contract code for your flash loan. Only use code from reputable sources, GitHub or trusted crypto communities to avoid malicious scripts. Copy the entire code block starting from to the final. Precision matters. Missing or extra characters can cause compilation errors. Return to Remix, open, and paste the code into the editor. Double-check that the code is complete and matches the original. Look for the line at the top. Note the version number. This version will determine your compiler setting in the next step. Save your file in Remix. You're now ready to compile the contract. Now let's compile your contract. Click the Solidity compiler icon in Remix's left menu. Select the compiler version that matches your code statement. Leave other settings as default. Enable auto-compile for instant feedback or just click compile /ustat.sol. A green tick means success. A red warning means you need to fix errors. Check the errors and warnings section if needed. With a successful compile, your contract is ready for deployment. Next, you'll need MetaMask, a browser extension wallet, to interact with Ethereum. Install MetaMask from the official site and create a wallet. Write down your seed phrase and keep it offline. Fund your wallet with a small amount of ETH to cover gas fees. Buy ETH from an exchange and transfer it to your MetaMask address. In Remix, click the Deploy and Run Transactions icon. Change the environment dropdown to Injected Provider MetaMask. Approve the connection in MetaMask when prompted. Your wallet address and ETH balance should now appear in Remix. This links Remix to your wallet, enabling real blockchain transactions. You're set to deploy your contract. Now that your smart contract is written and thoroughly tested, it's time for the most exciting step, deploying it to the Ethereum blockchain. This process will make your contract accessible to anyone on the network, allowing it to interact with real assets and users. Let's walk through each step to ensure a smooth deployment. Open the Remix IDE and navigate to the Deploy and Run Transactions pane. This is where you'll manage the deployment process. Make sure you've selected the correct environment. Typically, you'll want to use Injected Provider MetaMask to connect Remix to your MetaMask wallet, which will handle the transaction on the Ethereum network. In the contract dropdown, select the contract you want to deploy. Double-check that you've chosen the right one, especially if your workspace contains multiple contracts. If your contract requires constructor arguments, such as an initial token address, owner address, or other parameters, enter them carefully in the input field provided. These values are set once and cannot be changed after deployment, so accuracy is crucial. Before proceeding, take a moment to double-check all the information you've entered, especially any addresses or critical parameters. Mistakes here can be costly and irreversible. Once you're confident everything is correct, click the Deploy button to initiate the process. MetaMask will automatically open a pop-up window displaying a summary of the transaction. Here, you'll see the estimated gas fee, which is the cost of deploying your contract to the blockchain. Gas fees can fluctuate depending on network congestion, so review the amount carefully. Review all the transaction details in MetaMask, including the contract address, network, and gas fee. If everything looks good, click the Confirm button to authorize the deployment. This action will broadcast your contract to the Ethereum network. After confirming, your transaction is sent to the network. You'll see a progress indicator as the transaction is mined and included in a block. This process can take anywhere from a few seconds to several minutes, depending on network activity and the gas price you selected. While you wait, you can track the status of your deployment in MetaMask under the Activity tab or by copying the transaction hash and pasting it into Etherscan. Etherscan provides real-time updates and detailed information about your transaction's progress. Once the transaction is confirmed, your contract will appear under the Deployed Contract section in Remix. This means your contract is now live and ready to interact with on the Ethereum blockchain. Take note of your contract's unique blockchain address. This address is essential for interacting with your contract, sharing it with others, or verifying it on block explorers like Etherscan. Congratulations! Your smart contract is now officially live on the Ethereum network. It's accessible to anyone, anywhere, and can start processing transactions or executing its programmed logic. The next step is to fund your contract if it requires an initial balance to operate. This ensures it can perform its intended functions, such as handling payments or distributing tokens. Let's move on to funding your contract and getting it fully operational. Your contract is live, but it needs USDT to operate. Acquire the required amount of USDT from an exchange and transfer it to your MetaMask wallet. In Remix, copy your contract's address from the Deployed Contracts section. In MetaMask, select USDT and click Send. Paste the contract address as the recipient and enter the exact USDT amount. Confirm the transaction in MetaMask and pay the gas fee. Monitor the transfer on Etherscan. Once confirmed, your contract's USDT balance updates. Verify the balance on Etherscan by searching your contract's address. Your contract is now funded and ready for action. Now, let's walk through the process of executing a flash loan on Ethereum. This is the moment where all your preparation comes together, and you interact directly with the blockchain to initiate the loan. Make sure you have your wallet connected and enough ETH to cover gas fees. as these transactions can be resource-intensive. In the Remix IDE, locate your deployed contract under the Deployed Contracts section. This is where you'll find all the functions you've written and deployed to the Ethereum network. Expanding this section will reveal the available functions you can interact with. Carefully identify the function that initiates the flash loan. It's often named something like Execute Flash Loan, Initiate Loan, or Start Flash Loan, but the exact name depends on your contract's implementation. Double-check to ensure you're selecting the correct function, as executing the wrong one could result in unexpected behavior or failed transactions. If you're unsure, refer to your contract's documentation or comments in your code to confirm the function's purpose and required parameters. This step is crucial for avoiding costly mistakes. Once you've identified the correct function, click the function button in Remix. This action prepares the transaction and prompts you to enter any necessary parameters, such as the loan amount or the token address. Double-check your inputs before proceeding. After submitting the transaction, MetaMask will automatically open a confirmation window. Here you'll see the estimated gas fee for the operation. Flash loans can be complex and may require more gas than simple transactions, so review the fee carefully. If the fee seems unusually high, consider adjusting your gas settings or waiting for network congestion to decrease. When you're ready, click Confirm in MetaMask to broadcast the transaction to the Ethereum network. This step is irreversible, so make sure everything is correct before proceeding. The smart contract will now attempt to execute the flash loan. Remember, flash loans are atomic operations, meaning the entire process must succeed in a single transaction, or it will revert completely. This ensures that either all steps are completed or none are, protecting both you and the protocol from partial execution. If the transaction is successful, you'll see the results almost instantly. The borrowed funds are used as specified in your contract, and any profits, after deducting fees, are sent directly to your contract's address. You can check your wallet or contract balance to verify the outcome. To track the transaction and its results, open Etherscan and search for your wallet or contract address. Here you can view detailed information about the transaction, including status, gas used, and any tokens transferred. If the transaction fails, don't panic. Review the error message in Remix or on Etherscan to diagnose the issue. Common problems include insufficient funds, incorrect parameters, or logic errors in your contract. Make the necessary adjustments and try again. Congratulations, you've now successfully executed a flash loan on Ethereum, taking your first step into advanced DeFi operations. With practice, you'll become more comfortable with the process and ready to explore more complex strategies. Security is paramount in DeFi. Never store your MetaMask seed phrase online. Write it down and keep it safe. Only use smart contract code from audited, reputable sources. Be skeptical of high return promises and unsolicited offers. Understand that every transaction costs gas, even failed ones. Practice on Ethereum testnets with Test.eth before using real funds. Always verify you're on the official Remix and MetaMask sites to avoid phishing. Consider using a hardware wallet for extra protection. Double-check all addresses and transaction details before confirming. Start with small amounts to minimize risk. Stay vigilant. Security is your responsibility. You've just completed the full cycle of executing a Flash USDT generation using Remix.eth. You set up your workspace, created and compiled your smart contract, and connected MetaMask. You deployed the contract, funded it with USDT, and executed the flash loan function. Along the way, you learned to prioritize security and source code wisely. You now understand the workflow from setup to execution. Each step built your confidence in using Ethereum's DeFi tools. With practice, you can explore more advanced smart contract operations. Congratulations on mastering this powerful DeFi process.